Hey guys, Steve here. Today we got to look at the Ragnarok. I got Arthas in this game. I got Cunningham and Nelson on that build. If you don't have Nelson, I think Kedrov would probably be a good option. But I wanted to show this one because I'm running the event commander in this event ship. I kind of considered my Angus review the review for both of these ships since I think they're essentially the same in terms of gameplay. Maybe a minor tweak here and there. But this one, we have Ragnarok in there. His special perk is when you launch a plane, you get increased damage. Now, if you're playing it on a cruiser, i.e., if you have it as an inspiration on one of your cruiser builds, you launch the plane, you get 6% damage enhanced while the plane is in the air. So that's roughly 90 seconds, or, minute and a half. Battleships, you get 20% boost. Now, one of the reasons I picked this game was because we have a salvo of that, and I want to show it shows both the up and the downsides of using that perk. Here we got a game on North. We're moving into A here. For some reason, most of my team doesn't want to play over here, even though they spawn over here. That's alright. Usually, if your team is abandoning a flank like this, you would want to assume a kiting position, i.e. turn around. You'd get close enough to engage the enemy, but you'd want to sail away, slow them down. You want to let your strong side, wherever it is, have time to do whatever they're going to do. Sometimes that's kill themselves needlessly and then you're going to lose. But if they do a semi-competent job, they'll wipe out the side that's imbalanced on their side. And if you give them enough time to do that while you're kind of slowing down the push on your side, that's going to be pretty effective. But here, we're just going to kind of go balls to the wall here. Right off the bat, here's a York. Now, here's a candidate to use this plane boost. He is a broadside cruiser. But the problem with this boost is, and the perk, you only get it, you have to let your plane cool down, go all the way through. I don't know exactly what that is. But if you're in this ship, and you can see there we're in about a 45-degree angle. Took a fairly decent salvo from the CNOP, about 20% of our health. This ship has problems kind of defending itself purely on armor angling. We'll see cruisers do pretty good damage. We'll see battleships do pretty good damage. So if you're using Arthas in this ship, I don't know how long you're going to be alive, but anyway, CNOP, there we get a decent salvo. Kind of missed the first one, hit the second one. So the first one was, 3,000-4,000 damage. Second one, 23,000 damage. And that's what I meant with kind of the plus and the minus of that perk. It's randomized in battleships. Even if you wait for a great opportunity to use it there, and a broadside CNOP certainly is a great opportunity for that perk. But even with the, dispersion on your battleship guns, you never really know if you're going to connect that shot or not. So if you're going to slot it as an inspiration, or you're going to be using Arthas, and it's one of your 3 inspirations in that case, but it's built into the build, you gotta kind of recognize that it's a roll the dice type of perk. It's not that consistent. So, and here's the other kind of downside with it. We're using the plane offensively. Now we don't have the plane up here to spot torps, potentially spot destroyers. That's how you'd traditionally be using the perk. That's how it's meant to be used according to the game. But Arthas turns that on its head. It's more of an offensive perk, and now we're not going to typically have it available for its defensive nature. Anyway, like I said, here we're pushing into the cap. Now, this other ship by me is spotting this Benson. I'm about to proxy spot him too, but the Benson, I believe, launched his torp, so that was the salvo we just dodged. Now he's in a bit of trouble here. Close range, we're not going to be having any trouble hitting this ship. We go ahead and take him out for the first kill of the game. Now, we're going to be on the cap here. We still have a cruiser. It looks like the Benson actually smoked up his cruiser, which is a high-level kind of division type of play, something you would see on, competitive play. Very good move. I don't know if it's a random grouping or not. Here I'm going to change the settings. The background noise is going to go up. I realized at this point I had the national voices on. I wanted you guys to get a chance to listen to Arthas, the guy that voiced the commander, because both him and the Leon character, whoever voiced those, do a pretty good job, and they are fairly interesting. So I'm going to try and balance it so you can hear it in the background, but it doesn't drown me out. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, New Orleans, close range here. He doesn't have torps, so the New Orleans is in a hard spot. American cruisers, the ones that don't have torps at least, you cannot get close to battleships. You cannot defend yourself. I mean, he could try and ram me here. He might do a fair amount of damage. He might kill me. I don't think he would. I don't really know the calculation on ram, to be honest with you, because I rarely do it. But here we're going to show how to do a drive-by. We're going to fire the front turrets trying to kill them. Once we don't do that, though, we're going to lock the guns on the side, and we're going to go for a drive-by. Now, what's going to happen, if I turn my ship and I try and track the target with my aim, as he goes by me, my turrets are no longer going to be able to keep up with me. So we go ahead and lock them to the side, hip fire there, blast them out of the water. But getting back to the point, you know, if you've got a ship that you're going along the side, it's coming towards you, going along the other side, and you start off with your guns pointing at him as he's kind of in front of you, and you try and keep those guns on target as they turn. Not going to happen in a battleship. It's going to sail right by you. You're not going to get a shot off. Then you're both going to start spinning around trying to get the shots off. That's when all hell breaks loose. So what you want to do, hopefully you're using gun lock. I strongly recommend that. Preset 3 or 4 on your controls. I think it changes like one button, so there's really no reason to not use it. Doesn't take long to get used to. But lock the gun and then wait for the target to move itself into that aim, then go ahead and blast it. So as we sail back into the action here, we're going to be trying to catch the rest of this team kind of broadside. We're not going too deep down into their base, keep in mind. I typically want to, you either want to play in your own spawn, i.e., you know, we spawn to the north, so the top half of the map is generally where I want to play. Maybe move down a little bit, you know, 1 or 2 grids at the most. But it's a big mistake to play, you know, deep into the enemy spawn. There's a lot of different reasons for it. Usually you're going to find people doing that. They're chasing ships, and then the ship's running away from the action. What matters, that draws the blue team towards him, and then all hell breaks loose. So anyway, try and stay in the middle once you hit the middle and move towards the team. As far as Arthas goes, like I said, I think he's an instant commander. For an inspiration, I don't really think of any of the Japanese battleships as kind of close range type of battleships. Now this one, I kind of have it set up for medium range. I don't have the brawler perk on perk 1. I got I believe it's a damage con cycler or a fire prevention. I can't remember what it does. But, you know, we want to play these ships pretty much at full range. And the Nagato especially, this is a different version of the Nagato. And so that's why I would run it with Takagi. As for Ingus's perk, I've talked to a few players, and they've told me they've had some success using it. Basically, his perk blocks incoming damage when you activate damage con. You know, for the duration of it, it reduces it like 40 or I think it's 40%, but it's like a very high number. Intriguing on paper. The problem I have with it is you have to actually be on fire, you have to have a flood, or you have to have damaged guns, basically, to even activate it. So you're already in a little bit of a hot water, and then, you know, you see a shot coming to your broadside, or perhaps torps, activate the perk, block some of that damage. I mean, it's valuable, but it's so situational. I just don't see that as valuable of an inspiration. But as a commander, he's more of a Sims accuracy type of commander, and you can get that involved. You know, when I was playing these two ships, you know, with the event commanders in them, the Warhammer commanders in them, I had Leon set up with this Arthas plane boost as well. So I was running the double boost on him. I think the plane one's just way more useful all around. That's my personal opinion. I know some people might disagree with me. That's fine. But, you know, the ships, they're difficult. I would try and play them from cover. I would try and play them at range if possible. You can't really take a lot of shots. This isn't Tier 7 game, so we're not seeing a bunch of Iowas and, you know, other high caliber Vlads shooting at us. But you saw the CNOP had no problems penetrating us at angles. Some of these cruisers, I didn't point them out, but we've had some angled encounters where those shells are still doing damage. Whether they're hitting us in the superstructure deck, I don't know, but it's very hard to defend yourself purely on angling in these ships. So that's why I'm recommending building them for range. That's why I'm recommending kind of almost cruiser-like. Try and get behind islands if possible, or assume more of a kiting long-range position and, you know, do it that way. The downside of that build is, the Nagato / the Ragnarok Ignis, very randomized once you get it max range, the gun accuracy. So it's a bit of a trade-off. But my results running the Warhammer commanders on the Warhammer ships, this type of damage range was what I would consider to be pretty good. I can't remember, you know, how many over 100k damage games I played the ships a fair amount, fiddling around with them, trying to get used to the perks because I want to demonstrate the perks. So I put a fair amount of games into these ships. Didn't really have a lot of success though until I started switching them over to the regular long-range commanders, which is fine. You know, it's just because they're both Warhammer branded doesn't mean you have to use the commanders in the ships. I've talked to people that were using Leon in the Alabama. They said they were loving that build. I've talked to some people that were using this Arthas and like I think the Amagi, and they were saying they were having success in that. So fiddle around with the commanders if you have them, but in terms of, you know, on this ship, I just don't think it's optimal, and that's usually the kind of setup I'm going for with my commanders. There we got a shot at the Gaidi, trying to finish him off. Obviously we only have 2 ships left on their team, 2 destroyers, but all we have to really do at this point in time, capture B and go ahead and flip it. So at this point in time, once we dodge these torps, which is of course very easy to do because they're widespread, so even though we were initially caught turning the wrong way, we were able to stop the turn, reverse it, dodge the torps very comfortably. That's due to the fact that the destroyer player made it extremely easy for us. They go ahead and kill him, we capture B. This Akatsuki on their team is going to pop up. We're going to take a shot at him, and then he's going to run for the hills. And he actually ends up torping me, which we really don't need to see that. But I was kind of chasing after him, and then I'm like, you know, come on, what are you doing? So I began turning away, and then as I turned, you know, the stream was there. So I almost actually dodged him, but he got me. So we don't need to see that. But that's a look at the Ragnarok, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.